Welcome to Amazing World Channel.
But on one occasion, I remember, he worked himself up into such a state over the fact that community chest had just allowed me to win £10 in a beauty contest. Unlikely, I know, that in trying to wrench the note off me, he managed to tear it in half. He stared at the torn toy tenner for a few moments, and then his eyes, already red with anger, started to well up with tears. I got my coat. Well, anorak. Far be it for me to link crucial affairs of state to a trivial episode from my otherwise happy childhood, but how similar is that pointless squabble over a perfectly fair game to the current behaviour of the EU? I am certain that our British negotiating team, led by David Davis, are as earnest as I was in trying to be reasonable and hope for a successful outcome. Michel Barnier and David Davis speak at a joint news conference following negotiations in Brussels. The EU negotiators' current position is ridiculous even by their own dizzyingly high standards of craziness. Martin Townsend, as we report today, there are even hopes of a breakthrough in their deadlocked negotiation. But it has been clear from the beginning of this so far peculiarly one-sided process that the two sides have fundamentally different aims. Our team wants to secure the best possible Brexit. Their team, led by Michel Barnier, wants to make that process so difficult that it will deter any other EU countries from following our example. Little wonder, then, that the government is preparing the ground for a no-deal exit. David Davis and co. probably saw all this coming from the start. I remember a remark made to me by a senior spokesman for the Tories just after the Brexit vote. Surely, he said, if the EU was so keen for us to stay, they'd have tried a bit harder to keep us. He had a point. The EU said that little progress has been made in Brexit talks. In early 2016, then Prime Minister David Cameron returned home with virtually nothing to show for his attempts at renegotiating our position, and even the small concessions he did gain were not guaranteed. I remember reading one report at the time which said that no fewer than 250 EU lawyers were scrutinizing those minor changes. How many organizations can summon up 250 lawyers to scrutinize anything more to the point? How many organizations would actually bother? But then such overkill is typical of the pettifogging attitudes of the EU, and is one of the reasons 17 million voters like myself had no hesitation in giving them the Hivaho. The EU negotiators' current position, however, is ridiculous even by their own dizzyingly high standards of craziness. They want to know how much we will pay as a divorce bill for a settlement, the substance of which they refuse to discuss until we have told them how much we will pay. Who pays for something without knowing what it is we have said we will pay up to honor any agreements we have already signed, which seems perfectly sensible and fair to me, so why can't the talks just get underway? David Davis is looking to break the deadlock in Brexit talks to secure a deal. The irony of Barnier's position is that the more awkward he is, the more former Remainers decide to join the Brexit lobby. Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt and Treasury Chief Secretary Liz Truss have both now declared that, if the referendum was rerun, which it is never going to be, they would vote for the exit door. The country as a whole is also having a change of heart, with so many alarmed Remainers fleeing to the Brexit side, according to our recent poll by YouGov, that the percentage of hard Remainers is now only 22%. The damage being done by Barnier's intransigence may not end there. How long before those other member countries, witnessing his petulant behavior, start to have their own doubts about staying in the EU? Groucho Marx's famous quote about not wanting to join any club that would have him as a member could easily be rewritten for the EU. Many countries might decide they don't want to join any club that won't allow them to leave. The madness of the entire negotiation is that all the politicians involved know that their intentions are entirely irrelevant anyway. Britain has to trade with the rest of Europe, and the rest of Europe has to trade with us. A deal will be done, no matter how much Barnier moans. But what he has proved, beyond all of this, is that the EU doesn't really care about Europe or the European economy. It only cares about itself. Barnier's real concern is to protect the gravy train that has allowed him, and thousands of other faceless Eurocrats, to live high on the hog for far too long. A no-deal exit would not be ideal for Britain, but we are much better prepared for it than the EU wants to believe. If Barnier and co. continue to sit on their hands and watch it happen, it will be the beginning of the end for their cozy little club.